Hello, students. Here is your flipped grammar lesson for Storytown Lesson 24, which is irregular verbs. For this lesson, you will need a pen or a pencil and your whisk worksheet. So, once you have that all together, in the W section, please write when and where you watched this video. Then, next to Unit of Study, please write irregular verbs. Are you ready to get started? Let's go! First, these are the things you need to remember from last week's lesson about past participle forms of the verb. You don't need to write this stuff down unless it's something you're still a little bit uncomfortable with. Remember, to make the past participle form of the verb, you will be thinking about the helping verbs. The past participle is the form of the verb that's used with the helping verbs has, have, or had. So, for example, in a sentence, you might say, I have seen that movie 3 times. You would take the form of the verb see and change it to seen when you were using one of those helping verbs. You can use the past participle to make some verb tenses or as adjectives to describe something in a sentence. And most of the time, the regular past tense form of the verb is the same as the past participle. Now that we've got the review down, let's take a look at regular and irregular verbs. So first, let's look at the regular verbs. These verbs are formed by just adding ed. So whether you're dealing with the past tense or the past participle, all you do is add ed to the main to form of the verb. So these 3 verbs on the screen are all regular verbs: race, hug, and toss. On the back of your whisk worksheet, could you please write race, hug, and toss in the past tense? The past participle is the same as the past tense in all 3 of these cases. And here we have the irregular verbs. We call these verbs irregular because they do not follow a usual pattern to make the past tense and or the past participle. So sometimes they might follow the regular rule for past tense and not the past participle, sometimes for neither. So let's take a look at the examples on the screen. In the first picture, the woman bought her groceries for the week. We use the word bought instead of buyed, B-U-Y-E-D. That wouldn't be correct grammar, and so instead we change to the irregular past tense, bought. Over on the top right, the children went to school every day. Instead of saying goed, we would also use an irregular past tense verb here, went. Then we've also got an irregular past participle for the verb go. They have gone to this school for 2 years. We have the helping verb have, which tells us we need to use the past participle form of the verb afterwards. Again, we don't use goed, we use gone. Last, the women wore the same size. She has worn that pink dress before. Both of these verb forms in orange are forms of the verb wear, W-E-A-R. But we wouldn't use weared in either of these cases, either as the past tense in the first part or as the past participle after the helping verb has in the second sentence. So remember, your irregular verbs do not follow a usual pattern. Let's try some examples. In the next few videos, try to find the verbs. After you have found the verbs, try to figure out if the past tense or past participle was regular or irregular. Remember, if it was a regular verb, you would form the past or the past participle by adding ed suffix to the end. If it's irregular, it will not follow a usual pattern. Are you ready to give it a try on your own? Good luck! Well, I hope you enjoyed watching all of my magic tricks while learning about irregular verbs. Once you're done watching this video, go ahead and finish filling out your Whisk worksheet. In the S section, write a 5-sentence summary of what you learned from the video. Don't forget to do the part on the back from earlier in the video. Then, in the Q section, write a question you might have about something you did not understand in the video. If you have no questions, then create a test question for your classmates. As always, make sure you have your assignment completed on time and turned in by the due date. And we'll see you next week.